Welcome to episode 3 of the Nucleust podcast, where we interview friends, family, sometimes anyway, bandmates, and discuss all things music. In this episode, I, Jayden Walker, will be interviewing Nucleust guitarist Max Palizban with questions that have accumulated online and been shot our way from all sorts of angles. So, how are you today, Max?
Good, man. How are you?
Yep, I'm going great for a Sunday arvo. It's been very relaxing.
Yeah, I finished work like a couple of hours ago, but so far so good.
Oh, that's not a good way to end a Sunday. No. So, have you got any new free stuff arrived from your new solar endorsement yet, or?
No, not yet. I'll have to save some money first of all to pretty much start the talk with them, because I have a pretty good idea of what I exactly want as my next guitar. So whenever I have the fund ready, because I will get discount, but it's not going to be free. So we'll see.
I had an idea I was going to put to you. So for a custom guitar, I was thinking, I don't know if you're a fan of active pickups, but either way, you have to do it. So it'd be a solar-powered solar guitar. So you'd have little solar panels on it, and you'd just soak it out in the sun, and that would charge your active pickups, and you would never need to put that 9-volt battery in.
Oh well, I'm not a fan of active pickups, but I can put like a torch or something on my guitar, or like a light.
Maybe, or maybe a USB charger. I just thought a solar-powered solar guitar would be quite the thing. It'd be cool.
Definitely, yeah. Good idea, man.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into some questions anyway. First of all, you're a new parent, so how's that affected your musical pursuits? How's that juggle going for you?
Well, interesting that you mentioned that. I'm sure you're aware of the whole thing, but for me, the whole thing has been actually a very fulfilling experience for me, because I actually have a better time management, in my opinion, right now in comparison to like when I didn't have my son. You know what I'm saying? Because you kind of have to just like really manage your time well to be able to have your full-time job, to have your full-time band, to be with your family, my wife and my son. So it's challenging sometimes, not gonna lie. Some nights I have to stay awake to make videos, to write songs, to record our music, as I'm sure you know. But then the reward it's pretty good. So. I don't have any problem with it. So in fact, I believe since my son born, I think I turned into a better person. I'm not sure. It's kind of hard to say it, but yeah, I don't have it.
Yeah, I think I get. Yeah, I think I get where you're coming from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Well, I hung up on Max because I was sick of him yabbering on, so I cut a bit out there. But anyway, for the next question in line was, who inspired you to make music, Max?
Yeah, so one of my uncles actually, he used to play classical guitar, and I really like it. And I'm coming from quite a musical family anyway. My dad and my sister, they're both singers. But how I got into metal music was actually from one of my cousins. I remember when I was like really young, let's just say, I don't know, like 10, 11, 12, can't remember exactly, but he played one of the very first Pantera album when they had Phil Anselmo on, and then like one of old Metallica's album. I'm pretty sure it was like Justice for All. That album was like 1988. So, and then I think at the time that I started listening to metal, I think Black Album was just out. Like it was that time. So I'm born 1982. So I was like 10 or 11 or something like this. So that's how I introduced to metal music. And for some reason I just started really liking it. It just had such a good energy, and I just like the energy. I just like the feel. I really enjoy the confidence in that music. And and Pantera,
do you reckon that's what drew you to it? The sort of the almost like obviously the raw emotion, but the sort of the cockiness of it as well, in a way.
Yeah, they're energy,
very, just to rip the solos, and they're very confident.
because I was always one of those kids that like was really into sport, and like getting pretty hyped about like just doing crazy stuff like energetic stuff, and that music was really was talking to me. You know what I'm saying? Was like, hell yeah, that just sounds really good. I can just move around. I can just like go run around the house listening to Pantera, Vulgar Power. That album was just so amazing. And then, that's how those were probably the first bands and first albums that I listened to. Black Album, Justice for All from Metallica, and Vulgar Power from Pantera, and Arise from Sepultura. I think, these couple of albums,
Yeah, I never got into Pantera myself, but it's definitely a band that I've appreciated from afar. But I'm a lot younger than you, so I think by the time I was getting into music, the new metal was the thing, and that was sort of what was accessible in the mainstream as far as people getting into metal. It was all new metal was just hard to ignore when I was sort of in high school. So
definitely.
Pantera was a bit long forgotten by then almost.
Yeah, well, new metal for me was like my teenager era as well. So when I was like
I think when you said you were maybe 10, 11 when you started getting into Pantera, right?
Or
at least heard it. And liked it. Yeah. Yeah, see, I wouldn't have probably gotten into music until like that kind of music until I was probably 13, 14. I reckon.
Yeah, no, interesting. But getting to metal music from really early age is it's a quite an experience for me because you're just really young and you're quite fresh and raw, and I found metal music actually helping you to become a more confident and more independent person than just like. For me, that was what it was. I wasn't trying to like. I guess for everyone, it could be different reasons, but for me, I wasn't like a depressed kid. I wasn't like into hitting people. Like I was just from a very good family, good mom, good dad, just good relatives. Good. Everything was good. So I didn't have any mommy or daddy issues. I just loved the energy and loved the confidence, man. That was the two big factors for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think getting into metal was it wasn't as a common thing in Australia, but when you were obviously going to school, you were not in Australia.
No.
You're obviously from yonder ways. What do you reckon the metal scene was, and what was your background from?
So I
was it like over there?
Yeah, so I was born in Tehran, and because of all the
Tehran.
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 Yeah.
You drop the T or you different?
No, Tehran. So Tehran is Tehran is the capital of Iran.
Okay.
And that's where I'm from. I born there, and Iran has a pretty big metal scene actually. In Middle East, Iran, Turkey, they have pretty massive metal scene actually. These two countries, for some reasons I don't know what it is. I guess music overall in these two countries are pretty is a pretty dominant thing because of the old historical. Like these two countries are pretty old countries, that they all have their own traditional folk music for like thousands of years, and then because of that they just have a very good musical background. But then there are also a lot of people in Iran and Turkey that appreciate the rawness and extremeness of metal music, especially in the younger generation. And I'm not too sure because of the situation of the country, politically, economically, and like all those sorts of factors would play any roles in this matter. But I mean, in Australia we got a pretty big metal scene, and it's a pretty happy country. So I can't really find any relations between like countries which have social or like political issues, or countries that don't have them. So I'm not too sure, but for some reasons they have a pretty big metal scene. Like I had my first band back to Iran when I was 16 or 17, and we used to play shows. It was hard. It's not like a easy thing to do because of government. But I don't really want to go to more of the political side of it, to be honest with you. But it was just interesting era for me, and that was one of the reasons I moved to Australia to to pursue.
So what
my
actually
music,
was that? Would you say that would be one of the main reasons you made the move to Australia?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It was pursuing better life and music for sure. Me and my wife, both of us. So I also want to continue studying in a field that I wasn't familiar with, which was business for me. So I actually came here a student and studied Bachelor of Business, double major accounting and finance, which was good. I learned a lot from it, which I'll try to use some of those, learnings into the band somehow. But
there's a lot of accounting involved in bands. I think the difference from the accounting you would have studied and the accounting in a band is that you're usually only dealing with negative numbers in the band.
It's just,
whereas in accounting you might be dealing with it's like how more are we in debt now? Yeah. It's like the band account has $500 in it. Oh really? Yeah. But it's red.
Yeah, well, we
500 in the
but
red.
we spent $10,000.
We celebrate when there's $0 in the account because that means we're not in debt.
Well, break-even point is a celebration for any business. To be honest with you, like when you start a business, it doesn't matter if it's a band or it's like a massive fast food company. Whenever any business reach to a break-even point, that's when they start celebrating because that's a great point. And I'm sure that's the same thing with bands. And that's what we're trying to do in Nucleust to be able to fund everything that we do, which is really hard. But I think we partially doing it at the moment, which is fulfilling. But yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely a big step in the right direction there.
Yeah.
With the sorry, I was just reading through some of these questions here. I'm going through a bit of inboxes. I'm going through a bit of Instagram inboxes and a bit of Facebook inboxes, and I've bookmarked them. One of the funny ones that I've asked a few people that came through for the band as a whole was Metallica or Megadeth, and obviously you can only pick one.
Oh, 100% Metallica.
Yep.
I'm actually a big Metallica played, or still maybe even played a massive role in my metal musical career. I always found Metallica very interesting because, they're one of the first band in metal music, or maybe they are the first band in metal music that make metal mainstream. They create Black Album, which was like on top of a chart, and it's just crazy.
They really broke the ice a lot for all the
and then
more metal bands to come.
Yeah, and then they're one of those bands that just do whatever they want. Really, I mean, they're massive. So then they had load after Black Album, and all their metal fans hated it. But then after a while, so many of those fans start liking it again because they were just trying to do new things. I even remember Metallica. They were one of the first bands in metal music that they cut their hair, as far as I remember. Like in Load, they all cut their hair. They're like short hair. I really found them like very interesting. Like it's just Metallica is. Plus, we honestly we owe metal music to Metallica somehow because in '80s all these hairy glam rock bands, like I'm not gonna name them, but I'm never a fan. Which they created such a cheesy. Metal is just it's just about strippers,
like Kiss and Motley Crue, and all of that rubbish.
Exactly, yeah. Metallica
it was all about the look.
Yeah, Metallica, Anthrax, Slayer, Megadeth, and all these bands in the late 80s. They were the bands that actually save metal music, or maybe they just create such a different picture for this music. So make this a whole different scene. And Metallica is definitely the pioneer for that. So I have a lot of respect for them, man. Be honest with you, like I'm not really listening to them anymore. Sometimes I go back to them, listen to them. Justice for All and Black Album, they were definitely my favorite albums. And then Master of Puppets.
I can relate.
Yeah, but like Justice for All is just 1988 is such it's so over, it's so ahead of its time in my opinion. But Metallica 100%.
Okay. now this is sort of you obviously write a bit of different music and stuff from genre to genre, but how would you describe the music that you typically create? So I guess you could say, like, from a guitarist perspective, maybe like what's an insight into what you think you write?
Yeah, like what do you mean, like the musical side of it, or like the structure,
Yeah.
or like
say riff to riff or song as a whole. Would be your. How would you describe, I guess, your style of writing?
Yeah, interesting. Well, I used to have a different style before. When we start Nucleust for the first 4 years, the band was heavily focused on like progressive sort of music. So it was pretty much riff after riff, which I did enjoy at that time. But my writing at that point wasn't necessarily about like having a structure in the song. Was more about how I can connect these riffs somehow.
Very progressive style.
Yeah, but then
sort of stuff.
Slowly I kind of like I noticed it that I kind of want to write what sort of music that would kind of talk to a bigger audience, and then try to turn Nucleust.
Do the Black Album.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. Yeah. To try to push Nucleust to a more mainstream, approachable, market, and that's,
or as I like to say, more digestible.
Yeah. That's good. Digestible is a good way of explaining it, actually. Which then I ended up talking to Nick, the guitarist from Make Them Suffer, somehow. We knew each other, and I always appreciated Nick's style and the way he plays guitar. I love that. So we were just talking, and then just out of nowhere, Nick was just like listening to our old songs, and then I just told him that I like to push Nucleust to more structural, like more structure, more like metalcore, if you want to call it that way or whatever. And then he was like, really open to it. And he said, well, how about I produce you guys and I'll help you guys with it? And I was just like, yeah, that would be absolutely amazing. And since then, which was like mid 2019, Nick's been working with us, with you and me, in Nucleust pretty much. And I've learned a lot from Nick, which now the way I write music could be very different. I still do the riff bank thing. I still like sit down and just bank record riffs because I found it really good. But then I think about like a probably a catchy chorus, or sometimes first thing I would do the chorus and then write the song around the chorus idea. Or sometimes if I end up writing a riff that I found really cool, I try to expand the whole song around that riff. And I'm not trying to create 10 riffs. So I'm trying to create like 3 to 4 riffs, which one of them will be the chorus out of that one simple or hard riff. But it would be based on one sentence, if you want to say it in music like that. So one motive.
Yeah, that's interesting. My follow-up question to that was, what is your creative process like? But you've sort of gone ahead and answered that.
Yeah. I just sit down, record, play riffs, record them, try to come up with a chord progression that works with that riff, which then out of that chord progression, I might come up with a chorus. If the chorus is going to be a like open chord sort of feel chorus. If the chorus is going to be more like a riff one, then I might come up with a riff and then use it as a chorus and then create different variations around that riff.
Yeah. I mean, in saying that, if you could, who would you most like to collaborate with if you had the opportunity? And let's just say dead or alive to make it fun.
Well, we kind of, I'm not really collaborating with Nick, honestly, but he would be one of the first guy. Let's just say Nick is our producer. Oh man, there's so many good ones that I would love.
So you could pick someone and you still would kind of be collaborating with Nick in a way, having him produce it. So you could pick someone else.
I like to,
and then you get the trio.
Well, mine is a kind of weird one because I like to pick like an old one that played a big role in my Machine Head, Rob Flynn. That guy is probably the reason I play in a band. Like I know I said, Metallica and Pantera, they made me listen to metal music, but Machine Head is one of the bands that want me to play in a metal band. It's just like I have such a Rob Flynn. I would love to.
He's a fucking gun.
Collaboration with him, and I have a massive respect for him just as a person as well.
Yeah, I totally get that. Like for me, it was Matt Heafy. They inspired me. And Machine Head were always there. I mean, everyone talks about the big three or whatever, and it's like Megadeth, Metallica, and Anthrax, or Iron Maiden, or whatever. But for me, my big three is pretty much Trivium, Machine Head, and Killswitch Engaged.
Oh, I love it.
They're my big three. But I think Trivium and Machine Head would be common among a lot of guitarists of our generation because they were such guitar-dominated bands. Young, cool, trendy, emerging at the time, had signature guitars, were just cool cats.
Groovy.
It just made me want to pick up that guitar too.
100%. Yeah, and then like Machine Head, the way they use the drop tuning from the first album was just like so interesting. Like the way they started from like using their tuning in a different way and then just like create that fat sound. It's just like when you listen to Davidians, it's like 1992 or 1994, 1992. I think it's either of them. I think it's 1992 actually. That song, it's just like when you listen to it, it's technically a metalcore song / a new metal song / a groove metal song, and you can see how much that simple one song has pretty much inspired the next generations after that.
Yeah, I'll put that in my drive to work playlist for tomorrow, and I'll check that out.
Davidian, and the video even the video of that song.
Yeah,
it's just like bunch of guys in like baggy pants and like just like beanies.
I mean, I've probably heard it, but I'm a shocker to remember names. But I can hear it and go, oh yeah. Yeah, but I'm a shocker for names because back when I started listening to them, I was downloading all their stuff illegally, and most of the time it was just album name, and then it would be like track 1, track 2, and I would say I love track 2 off the blah 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 album, and people would just be like, "What do you mean?" It's like, well, that's what it's called. And I don't know. I don't bother googling it, but anyway, I mean, if this is a funny question because it's the one up next, but if you could open a show for any artist, who would it be? Would it be Machine Head?
Oh yeah, I reckon. I mean, Machine Head would be one of the old ones from more like new bands. Well, we already open shows for Make Them Suffer, so that's off the list. We already open shows for Polaris, so that's off the list too. Man, I don't know, Silent Planet or.
Yeah. Well, you saw the Silent Planet vocalist at the kebab shop here in Perth, WA.
Yeah.
He didn't have shoes on or something, didn't he? He's a real hipster. I can't remember. But he was lining up for a kebab in our dirty little kebab shop in the alleyway, and we contemplated going over to chew his ear off, but we sort of chickened out of that, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. We didn't chicken out. I don't know why. He's a pretty interesting guy.
He was there on his lonesome too.
Yeah. But like there are heaps of new bands. I guess I would love to play with them, but like and with bigger ones. I mean, if I want to pick like a massive band, I don't know. Bring Me the Horizon. Yeah, say that.
Oh yeah,
there you go.
Yeah, I mean, like if it was if there was a genie and you could just say it and it would happen. Yeah, Bring Me the Horizon would probably be the best benefit for the band, wouldn't it? Yeah.
They just have,
as opposed to say Metallica or something.
They just have massive,
which would probably, I mean, they both would be pretty. Anyway, we can dream.
Yeah.
The next question I had was in the queue was. Now this one's a bit weird, but because we're obviously an emerging band, and I wouldn't say we've got fans, but what is one message you could give to your fans?
Don't be
that, I guess.
Don't be dickheads.
Yeah. Don't be dickheads.
No, honestly, just don't be dickheads. Yeah, and then don't be a dickhead, and just be a good person. Honestly,
live the dream.
Stop bullying other people. Have respect for other people's opinions, and just don't do it.
And buy our merch.
Yeah, because if you are a dickhead, please unfollow us. That's it. Yeah.
So you've done a few videos on amp sims recently.
Yep.
But you own a Kemper. So what's the go?
Oh, poor Kemper. Well, all right. So okay. So I like to, I always go for the easy path these days, right? So, I used to have a Mark V and carrying
That's heavy.
that awesome massive amp around,
It's heavy and it weighs a lot. Yeah.
and try to like even record with it. But then I found it very stupid because why? And the reason because that why is there are so many good amp simulators and like just great guitar sims on internet. Like the one I use is STL Tones. I have recently used the forgot the Joy Stages ones as well. I prefer the STLs at this point. I just like that a bit more. But that one is really good too, I guess. But yeah, the STL Will Putney one. That's the one I always use for our recordings and for the video. Right now, my Kemper is only my live rig, which
It's a damn shame that.
Yeah, which is I wouldn't be surprised if later on I just I don't know, have my laptop.
Are you going to gig with a?
Yeah, with my laptop.
You're just going to gig with a laptop.
I don't know. Yeah, well, you never know
You
because
could sell. I mean, if you could, never have bought a Kemper, the money that you pay for a Kemper, that could buy you a pretty fucking decent laptop, and that plug-in's only $50 or whatever. So you'd be,
that's very interesting that you said. Yeah, my Kemper is actually similar cost.
You could buy
to my laptop.
Yeah, I mean they're about $4,000 or something.
Yeah.
You could buy a really top of the line MacBook or something.
Yeah,
for that.
That's what I have as well. Yeah, I got a top.
I'm sitting here staring at my Kemper in my studio rack, and I'm kind of like you. I'm the opposite actually. I only use it in the studio because obviously I don't play guitar in bands. So I've got it just for the studio, and it's an expensive bit of studio equipment to sit there and not get very little use.
Yeah, saying that Kemper is
buy another laptop.
Yeah, Kemper is great, but for us as a DIY band, we're gonna have to find a way to accommodate ourselves with things that would do the job for us faster, with quality for sure. And we can create a exact same tone every single time. And for me, that's the STL Tones, Will Putney at this point at least. Maybe change later on. I don't know.
It's one less lead to run. And I mean, if you're using it for the live rig, every time you want to record guitars, you'd have to unbox your live rig and jack it all into your interface and then go. Whereas at least with the amp sims, you just turn your computer on and you're laughing.
Yeah, I only have one Kemper.
Not printing anything. Because if you wanted to, everyone knows with the Kemper, obviously the tones are great, but you would print your Kemper tones and you would you would split your lines, so you're also getting a dry signal for the reamping for maybe mixing later. And, so you're recording 2 tracks, and when you're double tracking, then that means you're doing 4 tracks, and it gets a bit heavy. And then you're thinking, well, I'll just dry track it because I don't want to double track it. And then you're thinking, well, why am I even tracking through the Kemper just for my personal playback? I might as well just use an amp sim. So I do that a bit too. Yeah,
exactly. Especially when the quality of that amp sim is just amazing. So Yeah,
and if we outsource a bit of our mixing, and although you print tones for them, it's if you're like most bands, I mean, we obviously do it differently, but most bands would just send out dry DIs to the mixing engineer. So whatever you're using for playback, you could be, it's for your preference as opposed to the mix. So,
Yeah, well, recently,
what you used,
Yeah, recently I actually been sending, not the dry signal. I've been sending my actual guitar tone to the.
Tell us about why you've opted in for that.
Well, because since we put iEmotion out, and then we had Eclipse, and then Pretend Pessimist, and Mindsmear. I basically, especially with iEmotion and Eclipse, there is a big difference in the mix, and mostly in the guitar tone for me. I personally didn't like it because I have a very specific liking in guitar tones, and I also like to have my own guitar tone, which I do. But every time we were working like for releasing a new song, and we're just sending the DI to the sound guy. Like they just ended up coming with a tone that it was based on what I asked them, but then it wasn't really my tone. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was a good tone, but it wasn't my tone. So that's what the problem is. And people might listen to Eclipse and they're gonna be like, I like this guitar tone more than your tones. I'm like, yeah, that's cool, man, but that's not my guitar tone. So it's the same thing with iEmotion. Even that I love that tone, but it's not my tone. But then with Pretend Pessimist, that was the first song that we actually sent Lance my guitar tone. And we
didn't give him a choice, did we?
No,
we gave him
and
it printed and
which makes his job easier as well. Plus,
well, we'd hope so. Yeah, we'd hope that it made his job easier, and it helps with a consistent result, because he's obviously doesn't want to save a guitar patch preset for every band he mixes and then try and remember to use it every time. So this just takes a bit of the work out for everyone.
Exactly. Yeah. So
takes a bit of the guesswork out.
And I'm pretty happy, because when you listen to Pretend Pessimist and Mindsmear and you compare those two together, they're exact same production with the exact same guitar tone, that's us. You know, that's our sound.
And for people not in the know, obviously those two songs weren't done together. They're not intended for an album. They weren't recorded at the same time and mixed at the same time. They were entirely separate projects, and they obviously match up nicely due to our sound engineer doing a great job and us printing a bit of stuff to send him, like the guitar tones, to keep that consistency.
Yeah, even you know, you were using this the way you were recording your vocals as well. You know. Yeah.
Yeah, same boring old setup for me though. You know, just a mic and a lead into an interface. But I kept the same mic and I kept the same. I was in the same room, and I did all I could for that as consistency goes. But I think it's important to get a consistent sound. You don't want every song to sound different, you know, as far as production goes. It was different back in the day, obviously, when you get an album and, you know, like the Black Album had its production, and then you weren't expecting the next album to sound like the Black Album with different songs. You weren't. But with the playlist generation going on and us not releasing albums, we're obviously looking to produce a consistent product over time, as opposed to dropping 10 songs with identical productions. We might drop 10 songs with identical productions over a year, but we want them consistent, even though they might have been months apart.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think it's just the way things are going, I think. I mean, if we were going to release a song every 2 months and the production changed every single song, that might be a bit strange. It might confuse a few people. Because people are still used to listening to an album and it being consistent, whether they realise it or not. When they listen to an album from start to finish, or they listen to a run of singles that a band releases as they're, you know, honey-dicking their fans as they milk their singles, you know, you like them all, and they're all obviously the same production. And I think it's something a lot of bands neglect when they're deciding to kick the album out the door and not bother with that and just release singles. Every single sounds different, and it's not cohesive enough. And when people are listening to your Nucleust playlist with just Nucleust on it, it would all sound different and weird, and it would sound like you're listening to the band over a span of albums as opposed to a year's worth of music. So I think it is important.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I agree.
But in saying that, on a right turn, would you pick Periphery or Meshuggah?
Meshuggah.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, Meshuggah.
Why, though? Why?
Oh, man.
Give me the lowdown.
Okay, cool.
You don't like Periphery, and what?
I do like Periphery. But
They're just
Meshuggah.
They're a bit wimpy.
No, I like Periphery. I mean, I'm not. I know you like Periphery singing way more than Meshuggah. But to me, it's more like the music. And man, Meshuggah is just what Meshuggah did. It's probably the reason for so many guitarists moving from playing like boring palm mute power chords into something so different and so modern. Same with Periphery. Don't get me wrong. Like same with Periphery. Periphery. I mean, everyone knows the whole gent, era. It was definitely came from Meshuggah, and then Periphery, done that in more metalcore sort of way, if you want to say it. For me, it is Meshuggah. Don't get me wrong. Periphery, they're a great band, but Meshuggah, it just has that complexity and intensity in their music that Blade, those songs. They're still on my playlist every day. With Periphery, it is the same thing. I have massive respect for Misha Mansour specifically, but
I think it's like it's kind of like comparing Tool to Nickelback. Obviously, Periphery are a lot more well known and popular, but Meshuggah are obviously a lot more complicated and technical.
Yeah, Meshuggah is just something about it, man. Meshuggah is just I maybe.
Did I just say that Nickelback are the same as Periphery?
Well, Nickelback are pretty big, so I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not Periphery, but I don't think they're as good as Meshuggah.
Yeah, but
so underrated.
Meshuggah, like the way
the same way Tool is.
Yeah, but like Meshuggah for me, the way they compose the music and the way like their how the drummer follow the guitars was so refreshing to me, and just like it's so weird, like in the way they're doing it. With
especially doing the live album too that they'd done. That's recently that it was just they tracked it live without a click and all that.
That's just showing how they just want to show off like how good of a musician we are.
Yeah,
like
the stereotypical metal musician just being like fuck you.
Yeah, exactly.
Just showing off. How complex can we make it?
Yeah. But then, it's just Meshuggah. It's just there's something about the music that for me, it's Meshuggah over Periphery.
All the way. With no holidays. So we've got the next question, and it starts along the lines of, what is the most useless talent that you have?
Oh, useless talent. Fuck, that's such a weird.
It's got to be fucking useless.
That's such a weird thing to think about, because if it's useless, then you can't say it's a talent. Man,
you might be really quick at tying your shoelaces.
Yeah, you know what it is. My most useless talent. Oh, dude, this is gonna sound so pathetic, be honest with you, but please don't think about it that way. But my most useless talent is giving a fuck at workplace when I shouldn't, because no one else does give a fuck. So I should just stay out of it and don't worry about it. So
I thought you were gonna say your most useless talent was being able to pick a Netflix show out quickly or something.
My most useless talent.
Something.
I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know. I never thought about it that way. Yeah. But yeah, my most useless talent, because it never helps me to get anywhere, because
you can't you don't know all the the Pokemon's names off by heart or something like that.
I never even watched Pokemon. I don't know. My most useless talent. I don't know. No, I really don't know.
Geordie said gaming. I think he said gaming.
That's the thing. I don't even game. See, I'm kind of like I don't want to call myself a boring person, because I don't think I'm boring, but I'm very like specific about the things I do. I just do music and watch TV shows if I like with Nas, my wife, and I don't play games. I don't have any weird.
Max doesn't play games, everybody.
I don't.
He ain't playing.
I like, I play like 10 games, and they were all like FIFA 99, 1994, 1995, 1996.
You're one of those guys that just plays sport games. That's not game.
And that's not game. There you go. Man, I played like, I can tell you like a handful of games that I played in my life.
Soccer and Tekken and...
I played Mortal Kombat, soccer... or FIFA, football. I play Uncharted. Yeah. There you go. I play Uncharted. I played one of those. I played Prince of Persia, which is irony, because it's Prince of Persia.
Yeah, because it's based on your uncle or something.
Yeah. It's a good game. And honest with you,
Max does voice acting in that game.
Yeah. I started playing so many games, but then I stopped playing it because I don't know. I just like one of them was Witcher. Yeah, is it what it is, right? Witcher, yeah.
Yeah.
That game was just so hard. I just stopped playing it, and then was so many other ones.
I don't bother with it.
Yeah, there were so many other ones that I played. I played Call of Duty, one of the really first ones in my PC.
Yeah.
I played 10 games, but yeah, I'm not a gamer.
Well, it's funny because I mean, a lot of my friends, like a lot of them, got into guitar and are definitely proficient at guitar, and it all spawned from Guitar Hero. And you obviously weren't one of those kids.
I've never used
probably
Guitar
a bit
Hero
old
in my
for that.
life.
No. See, a lot of my friends, they started because PlayStation 2s were all the rage. And I think it was PlayStation 2s that had them. And, Guitar Hero was a big deal. It was such a big deal in my circles anyway. And everyone was playing it. And I used to say to them, if you spent as much time on a real guitar as you did on Guitar Hero, you could probably actually play those songs for real. And they'd be like, no. And they'll brag about how good they were at Guitar Hero. And meanwhile, I was actually playing guitar, in high school. But, I was just couldn't believe it. I was like, you spent so much time on this Guitar Hero.
Man, it's so weird.
it's
It's
funny.
so weird that you say all time and PlayStation 2. You know the first console I ever owned? Commodore 64? You probably even don't know what that is.
A PlayStation -6?
No, it's Commodore 64. It wasn't this is like I don't know, like you have to Google it. It is like the it's so old. Like they used to work
it
with
just
like
broke.
Yeah, they used to work
It
with
just
like
broke my internet trying to Google that. It said, to Google this, you need a time machine. And you need to be running Windows 98 to be able to Google
Windows.
it. So I can't.
Are you kidding me? There was no Windows at that time, man. It was MS-DOS. Windows 3.1 was out when I was like in high school. So
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
When me and Max were doing an interview on Critical Mass local radio metal show here, and we had to all take in music to play, and Max actually brought in some floppy disks of all his favourite music. He just thought that was normal still.
No,
I had
I
to tell him,
didn't.
no. We graduated from that a long time ago. It blew his mind. I had to show him a CD for the first time.
I'm very young in heart, though. That's it.
Yeah, the old floppy disks.
Yeah.
Well, the next question I got here is it's another one along the lines of stupid questions, but do you sing in the shower? And if you do, what songs?
Oh, I do sometimes, I guess.
Really?
No, but you know what's
I don't
funny?
fucking-
I don't sing in the shower. I usually play guitar. So
Yeah, you plug it in and everything?
yeah, so I'll be like do.
Oh, your air guitar.
Yeah, I do these things. So like like if we have a riff that I just record it, I'll be like just play that in the shower, so I wouldn't forget it. But yeah, I don't sing much. I usually follow the melody line. So yeah, but I do sometimes, I guess. Michael Jackson.
I like to
There you
listen
go.
to 50s.
I sing Michael
Yeah,
Jackson.
true.
Yeah, that's it.
I like to listen to really retro music in the shower. Really, really retro. So that it feels like I'm a privileged man having a shower.
privileged, man.
Yeah, like when that music was around, a shower wouldn't be as nice and as regular. But
Yeah.
So you've recently done a instructional guitar video for a Nucleust track. How did it all go down shooting that? You enjoy the camera,
Yeah, no,
and
it was
editing and all of that.
Was it-
involved with the old YouTubing?
a very interesting experience for me. Like, I mean, you helped me a lot with it, saying that, because of your experience in working with cameras and lights and stuff. So, I bought like so many different lights and light strips and all that kind of things. So try to create an interesting environment in my small, boring room with white walls. Which I think I succeeded. I'm pretty happy about the result of that video, and that was the first video that I technically edited with Premiere Pro, which that was the first night that I was using that software. So
It's funny because most
yeah.
people start with really humble beginnings, maybe shooting purely on a phone or something. But for your first YouTube video, it was
quality, man.
proper
Quality.
camera, proper lights,
Yeah.
on the real software editing, and
Quality.
Yeah.
I don't like to do things with bad quality. I spend the money to get all the gear sorted, and I like to. Not saying like that video is like 10 out of 10, but that was a good start. So yeah. Was pretty happy.
go big or go home.
Yeah.
That's what I say. You got to be in it to win it.
Yeah, I know
well,
you'll
that's
figure
probably not
out.
the right saying, but
There's nothing
you
wrong.
gotta-
You'll learn. You'll
if you're
figure it
gonna
out.
do it, if you're gonna do it properly. Don't half-ass it.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
that's why.
Yeah.
We both spend a lot of money on lighting and experimenting and getting our little studios at home set up.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I mean, do you reckon if it wasn't for music, you'd be getting into this kind of stuff, videoing, editing, photography type stuff?
Probably not.
If music doesn't exist?
No, probably not. Like, you know, I like art in general, like, you know, cinema, you know, theater, you know, painting. But I think if I wouldn't, you know, if I wasn't a musician, I would have probably be a businessman. Honestly, that would be the next industry that I would like to dig in, which I'm still doing it anyway. You know, I have interest in, you know, recent interest in money and understanding how money works, and, you know, reading all these audio books, which so many people find them boring, but I like it because it just helps you to create such a different mentality regarding how you should spend your money to get to where all these millionaires and billionaires get. Not saying, you know, I want to become a millionaire. I don't mind becoming a millionaire. But what I'm saying is, like, the science behind money is a quite interesting fact for me. So I've been, you know, watching documentaries and reading a lot of audiobooks. So that would be my second thing.
What's the most trouble you've ever been into, Max? You a troublemaker at all?
What do you mean?
Like, have you didn't egg your neighbour's house or toilet paper of someone's house or anything?
No.
No nights in the cell overnight? No?
No.
You're a good boy.
Yeah. No.
Well, I mean, you've obviously been given some pretty good advice in your time then. What would you say is the best bit of advice you've been given in the music realm?
Oh man, I can't say it, but it was by Nick. From Make Them Suffer, but I can't say it. But
it's an industry secret, everyone.
Yeah, but no, let's say no. But something else that he told me was about the music. You know, when we were talking about how a structured song would work way better for your audience, for your, you know. And, you know, it would create a better market for your music, you know, and how he was showing me, like, you know, hey, look, this song has a very good structure. It has an intro, verse, pre-chorus, chorus, you know, verse 2, blah blah blah, and you know, we were talking about, like, why this makes more sense to have a structure in your song and avoid using new riffs, and avoid having like 10 riffs in a song. Because
when you think about it, you've got, you know, genres that come and go. You've got styles that come and go, sounds, you know, from when blues, from all that stuff. But something that's obviously stayed very consistent throughout the eras of music is the common structure that we all know as, you know, a verse, chorus, basically. With the variants, but essentially that's been, and it's a testament to that it works, and that's why people do it. And people bash on it for being boring, especially in the metal community. But it's like, well, metal is a very fucking new thing, whereas this structure has been in and out of genres for many decades. So
yeah. I mean, you know, it's weird.
It's
like,
obviously going to work.
Like, you know, I have a classical music background, and, you know, I went to uni for it, and I also used to play classical music, which is, I guess, it played an important role in my progressive, you know, playing.
Because that obviously breaks the mold a little bit. The classical can break that mold.
But then I'm also a big Dream Theater fan, and you know, Meshuggah and all those bands that, you know, they have lots of those things. But then when I actually being fair about myself, I always like catchy music more than complicated music. You know, I always go for like catchier songs. I always go for like catchier bands, you know, even with pop music, because, you know, I listen to all sorts of things. I don't have any problem with that.
I think we appreciate the complex music more. I do, but as far as just listening to music, it's the pop like for everyone. We've got to draw the line somewhere, you know. But yeah, I mean, this is another question that I had in here that was interesting. It was Korn versus Slipknot, and for me, that's kind of like catchiness versus progressive in a way, because Korn they were a bit more structured than Slipknot back in the day anyway. Now obviously Slipknot are very well structured, but who, if you had to pick one of them to listen to for the rest of your life, who would that be?
Okay, so this is actually very interesting for me because I love both these bands for different reasons. Okay, so if you ask me which band you like more, in considering like listening to their music, at the moment I would say Slipknot for sure, especially the older stuff I really liked. But Korn for me, man, when Korn started, this is like 1993-4 we're talking about, right? Everyone hated them. Everyone hated Korn because of who they were, and like wearing these baggy pants, and the bunch of guys are looking good, and they're like, oh, all these things are so not metal, what are these people saying, and all those bad things that they say about Jonathan Davis, unfortunately, that I don't want to say, all the F words. But what I'm saying is Korn was an absolute breakthrough in my opinion. Like the way Korn created that whole image of metal, which hey, you know what? Not all metalheads just want to wear black and just catch up with goth girls. No, some metalheads want to catch up with, I don't know, whatever.
Skate park
chicks.
Dreadlocks and bongs.
Metalheads wants to also earn good monies. Metalheads also, like rappers. Metalheads also like rap music. I'm not afraid of saying it, and Korn was one of those bands that actually said it, and they were pretty proud of it. And after them, all these bands came after them. I don't know, Deftones,
they led the way.
Linkin Park, Limp Bizkit, all these bands, right? But Korn for me, I remember because I actually got into Korn quite early. With their first album, Korn, and this is actually very interesting. I wasn't telling anyone at that point that I'm listening to Korn, because everyone around me were so much into just metal, like death metal. Like that era was like death metal was a big thing at that time. Death metal and the black metal.
It was kind of like what we touched on earlier regarding Metallica they broke into the mainstream for that genre. So they're still living in the past of that, whereas Korn was sort of one of the next bands to break into the mainstream a little bit more, and for the genre.
Yeah, and there was always something about their music that sometimes put me off, because I wanted to be more heavier and like maybe a bit more, consider the music. I'm talking about the guitar.
They were pretty adventurous, weren't they?
Yeah,
they were pretty adventurous. So, a lot of their stuff was a bit too skewed for me.
Yeah, but they're gonna be like, I can pick you like 10 to 15 songs from Korn that actually change the way I look at how you structure a song, or also, and with the Korn, man, the way they use seven-string guitar. As far as I know, they were the first band that used 7-string guitar in that concept. So they actually created the whole thing. I didn't know any other band before Korn that were actually using 7-string guitars.
In that low tuning.
In that low tuning,
he had a custom guitar made, and I'm not full bottle on that. But I think they were definitely one of the first bands to be making it mainstream. I could say that for sure.
Yeah, and then that.
I don't know when, because when did Meshuggah start? They were a bit earlier, weren't they?
Meshuggah started quite early, man, but no one ever heard about Meshuggah until mid 2000. Because Meshuggah, it took them like 10, 15 years until they can actually break through. But the Korn, their first album was a hit, and then there was a reason behind it, because they were just so innovative and so so pure in what they're doing. Now we got Slipknot. Then Slipknot, I like Slipknot music more because it's just so intense, and just like it's that Iowa album, like it's so good. Like sorry, it's just so groovy and so heavy and so like bangy. You love it, and the drums, and for sure the drums. Slipknot
and
drums.
The lyrics and just their overall approach. It's because they're more than a band, given that they've got that many members. They've got, you could say they've got their 4 or 5 musicians, and then they've got a few guys that sort of do stuff on stage. But they've got the Mr. Clown guy. I forget his real name. Sean. He obviously he's not so much of a musician in the band, but he's almost like their art director.
Yeah, the brain.
Designs.
Yeah.
The masks, he has a lot to do with all of that anyway. So that's his role. Whereas your standard 4-piece, they're struggling to bloody get their music onto Bandcamp these days, let alone choreograph all that fucking show performances and masks and all of that. Whereas Slipknot had almost members in the band where their job was to basically be their director in a way.
Yeah, true.
So it's interesting. But I think we'll have to wrap it up pretty soon, Max. So I've got one more question for you. And it is, what's next for you? And I guess also what's next for Nucleust, but probably more specifically what's next for you.
Yeah, well, for me, Nucleust is what it is. I'll be honest with you, with the music, and we have a very good team at the moment, which I quite proud of it. And for me, I guess I just want to keep experiencing different things in Nucleust. You know what I'm saying? We still kind of finding our sound, I guess. We're still kind of trying to break through those barriers that we think it's still stopping us from going to where we want to go. So, and for us, music is the tool, I guess. Marketing, blah blah blah, social media for sure, but music is one of the biggest tool. And for me, as the guitarist, of the band, who does a lot of writings, I do want to experience just crazy things, just experiencing crazier riffs and coming up with different structures that still will be catchy, but then might be different. So yeah, just new things, crazy, heavy groove, do it. That's it.
That's Nucleust 2020 for you.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for tuning in, everybody, and thanks for joining me today, Max. It was good chatting. It was good discussing Slipknot and why Metallica beats.
Yeah.
Why Metallica beats Megadeth, but also the highlight for me was why Meshuggah is better than Periphery, and why Periphery is what Jayden deems Nickelback metal in comparison to Meshuggah's Tool type analogy, and that was weird. But anyway, we'll wrap it up there. We don't have any more podcasts lined up. Topic-wise, we'll be touching base with everyone in a couple of weeks with another episode, and it will be probably stuck with me talking about something irrelevant, but I will update you on what I'll be talking about when I figure out what I'm going to be talking about. But until then, everybody, say goodbye to Max.
Bye.
And